Hey, happy Monday, Met fans. How you doing? What a crazy weekend, huh? If you're a Met fan, was that a roller coaster of a weekend? Now, if you're like me, you're feeling good. We won that game yesterday after falling behind 6-0. The big picture, not too good. Not too good. And anytime you can only win 3 out of 7 against Pittsburgh, you have to be a little bit concerned. But the good news is when the chips were down and we were losing 6-0 yesterday, after blowing that big lead on Saturday, the boys came through. And that was so good to see. And I don't know about you, but I actually will take what happened yesterday and be very happy about it. Now, what was even more entertaining to see was Michael Conforto. Yes, Michael Conforto came through when he needed. And boy, do we need Michael Conforto. I think Michael Conforto needs Michael Conforto at this point, doesn't he? He has to start getting his act together, too. But once again, this could be one of those games at the end of the season you just remember as one of the turning points for the year. And let's face it, Conforto saved us from disaster yesterday. We did have a rough weekend against an underwhelming opponent. And you got to admit, Conforto's been one of the quietest bats in the lineup, and that'd be the last guy or one of the last few guys you expect to bail us out when we needed it. And things were not looking good. Even Louis Rojas didn't want to see it anymore. He got rejected from the game. But Conforto cleared the center field fence with a 2-run homer. And that capped a methodical comeback where the Mets kept chiseling back to win 7-6. Now, the Mets lost 2 out of 3 in series, like I said, and 3 out of 4 against the Pirates in 7 games. And that was wrapped around the All-Star break. And I think everybody was salivating when this happened, thinking, okay, this is the time we make the move. Well, it wasn't. And the news just wasn't getting any better as the weekend progressed. The Mets placed Jacob deGrom and Francisco Lindor on the injured list. And how much of the payroll is that? That's your supposedly top offensive player or all-around player, Francisco Lindor, and probably the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom, going on the IL. And then Edwin Diaz, after I was applauding how well he was doing, probably should have gotten a sniff for the All-Star game, gave up that walk-off grand slam home run on Saturday. So thank God they won yesterday. Now we're off to Cincinnati, and we can see what we can do against the do they still call them the Big Red Machine? The Mets have to win. The bottom line is the Mets are going to have to win. They have to show up and play, regardless of the guys that they have or don't have. And like I said, maybe Conforto's one of these guys. Like, Ralph Kiner says that home runs are like bananas. They come in bunches. Maybe he starts hitting some taters because he's capable of 30 on any given season. But you know what? He hasn't hit many this year at all, has he? Was he at 4? I think it's 4. I don't know. I think they haven't been happening that many. And he was actually hitless in his 3 at-bats before hitting that tater yesterday. So what a welcome sight that was. What wasn't a welcome sight was Taijuan Walker. He recorded only 1 out in the game and was removed after the Pirates had taken a 6-0 lead, and all hell was breaking loose at that point. With the bases low and the Pirates already up 3-0, Kevin Newman scored below the third base line, was swatted towards the dugout by Walker, who believed the ball was foul. Like, that's something you just don't do. You have to be absolutely certain it's foul. And plate umpire Jeremy Riggs ruled the ball fair, and all 3 Pirates kept on running and scored as Walker argued. I know you got to let that go by, and that's going to be on the blooper reel forever, but that was a major boner by Taijuan Walker, who has had very few of those during the course of this year. And after arguing, Rojas was immediately ejected. I haven't seen, I have to remember all these games I've been watching all year. I don't remember Rojas that vehemently angry, and he had to be strained from going after Riggs. And I've never seen Rojas like that. So it could be the combination. He believed that the ball wasn't fair, and the fact that all the shit that's been happening to the Mets, put that on top of everything, and all chaos breaks loose. Even Walker and Rojas maintained that the ball was foul, but I was watching the game on TV yesterday, and even Keith Hernandez said, originally saying that ball was foul, but even he said it was fair. But it was good to see Rojas have a fire lit up underneath him. We need that. But the whole inning started with Brian Reynolds' RBI single after Wilmer Defoe struck a one-out double. Ben Gamil walked, and then John Nagowski, Marcus Stroman's good friend, hit a 2-run double to put the Mets in a 3-0 hole. Then Newman dribble along the third base line followed. And like I said, the rest is Met history. But then Travis Blankenhorn. How many guys are fans of Travis Blankenhorn? He hit his first major league homer, a 3-run blast in the fourth, and that got the Mets back in the game, slicing their deficit 6-4. Jonathan Villar and Thomas Neal each singled to begin the rally for Blankenhorn crushed a 91-mile-per-hour fastball from JT Brubaker over the right field center field fence. And Dominic Smith's double in the sixth allowed Jeff McNeil to score another run, so the Mets were knocking on the door. And McNeil scored after Gregory Polanco's throwing error, and you never know what you're going to get from Gregory Polanco from talking to Pirate fans. Now, the Mets began their comeback in the third on Smith's 2-out RBI single. Brandon Nimmo walked to begin the rally before McNeil's single. And how about Drew Smith? Drew Smith gave them its 2 2/3 innings of shutout relief, all behind Walker. And then Aaron Loup loaded the bases in the sixth with nobody out, but struck out the next 3 batters to keep the Met deficit at 6-5. The lefty Loup pitched 2 scoreless innings and lowering his ERA to 1.48. Jeurys Familia and Travis May got the Mets to the finish line. A big, big win for the Mets. Now, what wasn't such good news was Jacob deGrom. Isn't it getting a little bit frustrating with Jake? And I don't know. I'm convinced Jake is just throwing the ball too hard and putting too much stress on his body because all these little things start adding up. And maybe Jacob just needs to be more of a pitcher instead of trying to be the best pitcher of all time. But that's just me. I'm not going to argue with him at all. That's not for me to say. Jacob is Jacob, but he was put on the 10-day injured list retroactive to July 15th. And he's frustrated, you can tell. And he leads the major leagues with a 1.0 ERA, but he last pitched on July 7th, and he's not going to be doing the team any well if he's always on the DL. And like I said, he sustained various ailments this season, and it's forced him to miss or curtail starts. And the ailments, it's like a laundry list. He's had left lat and side discomfort, flexor tendonitis, and shoulder discomfort. Add all that up, and he's basically a walking wounded warrior. And he keeps going on, undergoing all these MRI exams, and they fail to show any structural damage. But you got to wonder, something may happen sooner or later if this just keeps going on. They keep saying the news is good that he's structurally okay. But if he doesn't feel good when he's going out there every day, there's something wrong. I don't know. It's hard. He goes out, he'll pitch 4 fantastic innings and all of a sudden have discomfort. It looks like he could have pitched, this weekend, but I think the Mets are just taking the safe side, and that's what you want to see happen. But deGrom joins a cast of thousands. I shouldn't say thousands. I'm exaggerating, but cast of a lot of pitchers and Mets on the DIL that includes Syndergaard, Carrasco, Peterson, Joey O'Casey. And already stretched in, the Mets will have Jared Eichhoff. Remember, Jared Eichhoff's back again. He'll start Monday in Cincinnati. And we don't even have a starter named yet for Tuesday's game. So this is going to be interesting without a doubt. But hopefully Louis Rojas keeps his cool. I mean, getting back to Louis, I've never seen him that angry yesterday. And that, like I said, to me, in a perverted way, that was a good thing to see. But the really good thing to see was the Mets coming back and fighting. I mean, you hate to say it, but if they would have been swept by Pittsburgh, falling behind so early like that, they would really have been deflated. Now, I know every game itself is independent, but sometimes these things steamroll. Most of the time, if you're on a bad roll, you're on a bad roll. But they redeemed themselves. But like I said, coming out of that series, winning 1 out of 3, you wouldn't have been happy. But the way it happened yesterday, I'm happy. The Mets got knocked down yesterday, but they got back up. And the good thing is they're showing up every day to win. Sometimes things don't go their way, but they are fighters. They may not be the most talented bunch just due to this whole injury situation and everything going on with the Mets, but they're fighters. And I think they're pretty good as a team. They bond together as a team. It looks like they're proud to be team members and teammates. So we'll just see what happens. It's going to be another fun series in Cincinnati, that's for sure. But how about hats off to Aaron Loup? Woo! What a day he had, huh? He was on the brink of disaster, and he bailed himself out good. Now, Lugo and Diaz weren't available a day after both relievers got bludgeoned by the Pirates on Saturday. So the Mets had to turn to others for big outs on Sunday. And that meant Trevor May working a scoreless ninth for a second save after Drew Smith, Miguel Castro, Aaron Loup, and Jerry's Familia combined on 7 2/3 shutout innings. Now, the left-handed Loup continued his magic by pitching the 5th and 6th innings scoreless, escaping a bases-loaded jam with nobody out in a later frame by striking out 3 batters against the top of the batting order. That was huge. That was mega. That was one of the big innings for the Mets this year. You may think I'm exaggerating, but it wasn't, because if he gives up runs there, the Mets, I don't think, are coming back at that point. But Loup did the job, and then May came in and closed the door. It's good to have Trevor back again. So after Loup and Diaz combined to allow 9 runs over the final 2 innings in the 9-7 loss on Saturday, the bullpen's effort yesterday was huge, especially with Walker getting removed after falling behind 6-0. But it's amazing, though. They came back. And like I said, anything can happen. Now, hopefully something good happens tonight with Jared Eichhoff starting tonight's game in Cincinnati. He last pitched on July 11th. He surrendered 2 earned runs over 2 2/3 innings at the Pirates City Field. And his biggest issue this season has been keeping the ball in the park. He's allowed 6 homers in 12 2/3 innings. As we know, that ballpark in Cincinnati, the ball flies. So fasten your seatbelts. Hopefully he doesn't throw too many gopher balls tonight. Now, Rojas did not announce a starter for Tuesday against the Reds, but he said that one arm or more could be arriving from AAA Syracuse. The Mets have an opening on the 26-man roster after deGrom was placed on the injured list. Now, Carrasco's been thrown between starts, but there's no really information on where he stands for his next rehab appearance or when that will occur. So we'll be interested to see who the Mets call up for the game tomorrow. Okay, that about covers our daily recap, and we're going to do another podcast. We're doing 2 now. We're doing the daily recap, and then we're doing This Date in Met History. That'll be coming up shortly. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. If you like this, like it. If you want to drop a comment, drop a comment. And if you need to subscribe, this channel now combines both my baseball way of life, my baseball group, which you haven't joined, please do. We do one of those every day at 7 a.m. And we're going to do one of these. The first one, This Day in Met History, today in Daily Met History or whatever. Well, anyway, tune in at 8:15. We do the first of 2, and immediately followed by the second one, which will be a live broadcast. So if you ever want to jump in, that's my tentative time schedules. And unless it's like the weekend or something, I'll let you guys know ahead of time if we're doing one or what the story is. That way, if you want to chip in with some comments, you'll know when we'll be on the air. We'll be on the air on Twitter, YouTube, and the Mets group. And so feel free to join. The baseball ones for the Mets begin at 8:15. There'll be 2. And the baseball way one, where we talk about the hot topics in baseball, will be on at 7. Subscribe to this channel. You'll be privy to all of them. And I also upload other stuff like Met videos when I go to Citi Field, etc. So if you're into that type of thing, please join. But join anyway. That way you'll see when these Met YouTube casts come up on a daily basis. Thanks and have a great day. Oh, don't forget, we're coming back up right back after this. So grab a cup of coffee. Don't go. Grab a cup of coffee, and we'll be right back with our This Date in Met History in a few minutes. Thanks.